What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for our Monday Night Raw review for July the 5th, 2021. The final live edition of Monday Night Raw from the Blunderdome. That is right. Next week's episode will be taped, and Friday is the final live edition of anything before they're back in front of your fans at probably half the capacity, because nobody wants to go see a Monday Night Raw live. Monday Night Raw show live, especially the direct that they're just putting out there week in and week out. So before the show actually started, I guess they had some dark matches, and a Tegan Knox has made a return to the wrestling ring after being out since August. Apparently the battery charging vignettes on NXT are going to be for her. I don't know what that means. Maybe she has a new gimmick in NXT, but I don't know. But apparently she took on Toni Storm before the show went on the air. Now, this, of course, is the final live episode. So, granted, they have to start us off with the two crowns, Miz and Morrison, on MITB. Now, this one was a Money in the Bank edition because all the competitors in the Money in the Bank ladder match were here. Be honest, don't really care. They speak way too long, and then AJ Styles comes out. He's pissed because Randy Orton apparently forfeited his chance at the last chance Money in the Bank ladder match triple threat last week, so it should have been a one-on-one. He bitches, he complains. Matt Riddle, who's on top of the ladder, gets pushed off by Omos, which lands right on his injured leg from last week. AJ kicks it, and the babyfaces stand tall in the end. So we go to our first match. It is Ricochet versus John Morrison. This is a rematch from last week after it ended in a no contest. And they give you guys another pretty good match, except for the finish. Because you knew WWE just can't help themselves. It's like, oh, Miz is out there. Already uses the dripstick not once, but twice. But Ricochet does this gnarly fucking flying crossbody that they tangle on the ropes and both fall to the floor, landing hard. Morrison gets into the ring. Miz, using his wheelchair, wheels himself so he's in front of Ricochet, so Ricochet has to go around, but Miz keeps on rolling his wheelchair, preventing Ricochet to get into the ring before the 10 count, so Morrison picks up the win. And hey, it is what it is. These two will have another match next week. It will be a Falls Count Anywhere, because you knew this is what WWE loves to do. Falls Count Anywhere. Rematch. After rematch. After rematch. After rematch. After rematch. After rematch. That's WWE's bread and butter. They love to give you rematch after rematch after rematch, and it's annoying. It is what it is, though. So, John Morrison wins. They have a Falls Count Anywhere match next week. We see a video from earlier today. Jinder Mahal driving up in a motorcycle. Vera and Shanky greet him. Kevin Patrick approaches him and asks him for comments on the night's match with Drew McIntyre. He says they were close. Tag team partners. Dare he say good friends. Jinder saw Drew with him when he bought his motorcycle to celebrate one of his many title defenses when he was WWE Champion. Jinder says he texted Drew earlier to go riding with him for old time's sake, and it took Drew 3 days to respond, and he couldn't even spell out his response. Really? This match tonight is because Drew McIntyre didn't answer him in the past, and it took him 3 days, and he couldn't even spell a certain word. Like, are you kidding me? Jinder says this is why he demanded the match with Drew McIntyre. Jinder says he has always been better than Drew, and will prove it tonight. No, you have not. Original Nia Jackson and Shayna Baszler are backstage talking about Piper Niven. Alexa Bliss is seen in the background just staring at them, but only Reginald sees it. Baszler yells at him she's had enough. She yells Reggie to get himself together. She's about ready to say he's a grown man, then corrects herself and is like, you're an almost grown man. Jax defends Reginald and says, they all want to get through this match because things have been tough. They walk off together and see Bliss staring. We see Bliss standing there in the shadows again. Some of the worst work I've ever seen. Back from break, we have program to the tag team main event: Kofi Kingston and the New Day versus Bobby Lashley and MVP. Back from break, and we see what happened last week with Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler, Nikki Cross, Nia Jax, and Reginald. Asuka, Cross, and Naomi are backstage. Naomi is happy for Nikki's new look. Asuka also already wanted to team with a superhero. Cross isn't a superhero like Black Widow. She's almost a superhero. She's not Nikki Cross. She's Nikki Ash. A-S-H. It even said it on her title card. Cross began to believe in herself, and now she has a chance of winning the Money in the Bank. Naomi says she's winning Money in the Bank. Asuka says she's winning the match. Cross heads out to the ring. Bliss appears and says we need to temper her expectations for winning Money in the Bank. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Ash, Asuka, and Naomi versus Eva Marie, Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. This was horrendous. The less said about this match, the better. You had bullshit magic, which could have cost them the match, but in the end, Eva Marie, why is she even here? She can't fucking wrestle. She can't talk on the fucking mic worth a damn. Why did they bring this woman back? You know what? I'm really surprised her and Piper Niven didn't win that Money in the Bank qualifier, putting her in the match, so they could have Eva Marie win the Money in the Bank, have Piper Niven go up, grab it, and then Eva Marie said, the winner of this match and Miss Money in the Bank, Eva Marie! This is a joke. And apparently Vince McMahon, originally Vince McMahon didn't see anything in this partnership, but then Piper Niven is just so good at what she does and good at being at acting, that it changed Vince McMahon's mind, because Vince McMahon apparently was going to drop this entire duo between Eva Marie and Piper Niven, but changed his mind on a whim. Go figure. Nia Jax picks up the win, and of course Eva Marie afterwards takes all the credit. Baszler and Jax are unhappy. Piper stands by as they seem to be apologizing to Jax. She seems to be apologizing to Jax and Baszler for Eva's antics. All I know is, on the first night after Money in the Bank, she better drop Eva Marie, say, my name is Piper Niven, bitch. Knock her ass out so the crowd can go home happy. Because this cannot last much longer. MVP and Bobby Lashley are partying backstage. Kevin Patrick comes in and he's like, MVP's like, how do you keep coming in here every single week? MVP says he changed the match because Xavier Woods doesn't deserve to be in the ring alone with the WWE Champion. He reminds us how Lashley dominated Woods last time. He goes on about how he's been disrespected by the New Day. Lashley snatches the mic and says he eviscerated Drew McIntyre and Xavier Woods in back-to-back Hell in a Cell matches. So he took last week off, but he's going to send the New Day out on a permanent vacation tonight. He says he goes on about Kofi thinking he has a shot at winning the Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. Lashley says he's going to hurt Kofi because there's the Hurt Business, and that's what they do. He tosses the mic back to Patrick, and Lashley ladies taunt him on the way out. So you're still the Hurt Business, even though you broke up the foursome for the twosome. And no thanks. Mustafa Ali versus Mansoor. Of course, if anybody's been watching Raw, Mustafa Ali has been trying to give some friendly advice, quote-unquote, to Mansoor, and try and recruit him to be on his side. And we have a match tonight. Match doesn't go very long. Mustafa Ali gets his foot tangled in the ropes somehow. And Mansoor looks like an idiot because he helps Ali out of the ring ropes, which is something you shouldn't do. And Ali makes him pay as he rolls him up for the 1, 2, 3 and tells him to stop thinking with your heart, think with your mind. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. Of course, before that, Jinder Mahal is backstage with Sarah Schreiber. Drew has a few words for Jinder and brings out his sword, going on about how it's made from a tooth of the Loch Ness Monster. A jolly Drew tells the story of the Scottish warrior knocking tooth out of with a claymore. His win over Jinder and his win at Money in the Bank was also predicted at that time. He heads to the ring, and then we get to the match. And of course, Drew McIntyre, Drew McIntyre, he goes out there and he makes sure that he gives you as best a match as he can. Even though Jinder Mahal is absolutely atrocious, Jinder Mahal sucks. Drew McIntyre went out there and got as much of a match as he could out of him. Of course, he wins by DQ because the heavies come in, they beat him up. So you could get Drew McIntyre into a Colossus, and that was that. And of course, afterwards, Jinder Mahal says, "You took my Money in the Bank spot. I'm taking your family heirloom, and I'm taking your sword." And I'm thinking to myself, how did Drew McIntyre prevent you from getting into Money in the Bank? Matt Riddle won the Battle Royal. You were in the Battle Royal. Drew McIntyre was not. If you wanted to be in Money in the Bank so desperately, you should have went after Matt Riddle, because Matt Riddle's injured. Maybe you take Matt Riddle out and you take his spot. Blaming Drew McIntyre makes absolutely no sense to me. He had nothing to do with it. Terrible, terrible booking. So we get Mason T-Bar versus Lucha House Party, another nothing match. Lucha House Party actually win this one in a surprising upset. And moving on. AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle. This was a great match. We even got a karate kick. We even got a crane kick, because WWE wants to do, I don't know why, but Matt Riddle, like, early in the match, we should have saw it coming, because early in the match, Corey Graves says Cobra Kai type vibes coming from Matt Riddle working on one leg or whatever. So we get close, like, later in the match, and he's literally standing on his good leg doing the crane pose. Fucking AJ Styles, oh, you the Karate Kid now, huh? And he's, like, saying something to the referee I didn't catch. Walks right into a crane kick. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? Now, AJ Styles loses this match because the tag team opponents that are supposed to be going for the tag team titles soon, Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders, show up on either side of the barrier, distracting Omos, distracting AJ Styles. The most devastating pinfall, the most devastating victory, the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling in WWE, the surprise roll-up. And that's how Matt Riddle wins. And that was that. And then we get this farce. What the fuck was this? So, Charlotte comes out for a medical update. And for whatever reason, people online thought, oh, she's going to be taking time off or something. Oh, this is going to be bad. She's going to be injured for real. Basically, last week, she got hit with a weak-ass chop block. Hardly sold it last week. Comes out with a crutch, saying she might be missing Money in the Bank. And I'm like, oh no, Money in the Bank to miss, like Charlotte to miss Money in the Bank? I don't think anybody would miss you at all. But, yeah. She comes out with the crutch. She pretends to be injured. Out comes Rhea Ripley with her own crutch, acting even more injured. She gets into the ring. They has fight with their crutches. Charlotte gets her crutch dispatched, so she runs away, and that was that. Nothing more, nothing left needs to be said. This was terrible. This was a farce. She even Charlotte's even like, oh, the NBA has been rocked with injuries. I'm like, what does that have to do with wrestling? If I'm watching professional wrestling, do I give a shit about all the injuries that are happening in the NBA? No. That has nothing to do with that weak-ass sell job you did last week. You got hit with a chop block, you bounced right back up and started hopping around lightly. Usually when someone gets hit with a chop block, they get hit with the chop block and they're down selling their fucking knee. You didn't do that. Now I'm supposed to believe that you're injured only for you to go, oh my god, she's not injured. Give me a fucking break. This was a joke. This is the best you can do for a build between Charlotte and fucking Rhea Ripley going into Money in the Bank for what was the third fucking title match against each other? This is a fucking joke. I am sick and tired of both of these women on my TV. Charlotte needs to go away. Rhea Ripley needs to lose the title to Shayna Baszler or somebody else and go the fuck away. You ruined both women suck. I do not give a shit. I really hope when we get to Money in the Bank, this is booed out of the building. This match sucks, and we want Becky. I want all of that done in this match. Speaking of pointless and nonsensical and stupid shit, Elias and Cedric Alexander versus R-Truth and Jackson Ryker. Why was this match even booked? Oh, because they wanted to get the 24/7 championship parade to continue. So all four guys are out there. When Akira Tozawa shows up, running with the referee. Truth tries to roll him up. That doesn't work. A bunch of the geeks come in. They start running away. Jackson Riker is there, and R-Truth says, "I'm sorry, dog," and he starts running away. This pretty much comes into a one-on-one match that lasts about 2 minutes. Black Hole Slam, 1, 2, 3. What was the point of this? I know you gotta have some kind of filler, but you couldn't think of anything else. This is what you had for us tonight. What laziness. Then we go to the main event, Bobby Lashley and MVP versus The New Day. This was a really good, fun match. Biggie will be back in August or late August or September with The New Day. I mark my words. Lashley tosses Woods out of the ring. MVP tags in, but Kofi drops Lashley with the Trouble in Paradise. Ridge runs around the ring, leaps off the steel steps, takes Lashley out. MVP goes for the playmaker on Kofi, but Kofi counters and nails the Trouble in Paradise for the pin and the win. And The New Day are your winners. Bobby Lashley tries to rush the ring to do something, but The New Day get out. He's pissed. The New Day are celebrating, and the Raw goes off the air. Outside of this match, Ricochet and John Morrison was pretty good with the finish, and Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles. This show was very, very missable. And what the fuck are they doing with the Sharbot? Like, holy shit, that was a joke. That was terrible. In 2 weeks, in the first episode of Raw in front of live fans, the Raw Tag Team titles will be on the line as Omos and AJ Styles take on the Viking Raiders. Of course, next week, the Viking Raiders will be on in singles actions as Omos is in his first singles debut in company as he takes on Eric and Ivar takes on AJ Styles, as well as John Morrison and Ricochet in Falls Count Anywhere, and then Humberto Carrillo gets a United States Championship match. Why, I don't know. But that is happening next week. That's all I can say about Monday Raw. It's really not worth going much over. It's just this show fucking sucks. So hit the subscribe button, comment down below, go dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. And find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday where we have real fans, real wrestling, and things that people give a shit about. Until then, my name's The France, and I'll see you guys later.